Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Marissa White, and on Wednesdays, we get weird and I do videos on all things strange and unusual. If that is something that you are interested in, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button and join our little growing family. As the title suggests, today we are going to be talking about Skinwalker Ranch. Now, if you've never heard about Skinwalker Ranch, you're not alone. Many people seem to not know about this place, which is very surprising to me because it's actually got a lot of coverage in the media. I have noticed that there's not a lot of credible content out there on YouTube on this subject, so I'm very happy to be getting to it before it gets oversaturated and sharing something with you that you haven't heard 1,000 times before. So Terry and Gwen Sherman, the original owners of the ranch, had all of these strange things happening on their property, and they kept a lot of it under wraps because they were afraid of the backlash. They were afraid of their neighbors and their community thinking that they were crazy. So they did not come forward until 1996 with all of the strange and unusual things that were happening on the property to a local journalist. Now, before we jump into what was happening on Skinwalker Ranch, let's talk a little bit about where it got its name. So a skinwalker is an indigenous creature, or some say witch or shaman, who can take the shape of an animal. Typically, it's said to be some type of a coyote or a wolf, but it can be different animals, and also it can be people. Skinwalkers are said to be able to steal the faces of the humans around them and walk around and pretend to be you or I to the people around us, and they would notice slight differences, but unless they really were poking and prodding at it, they wouldn't realize that it was not the person that they thought it was, which that is terrifying. It's also said that these skinwalkers can look you in your eyes and possess you and take over your body completely. Now, these creatures are said to be incredibly powerful and to be resistant to things like bullets or any type of weapon, and so that's kind of how people figure out that it's not an actual animal that they're dealing with, because when they shoot at it, the animal is unharmed by the bullets. Now, some people believe that this is just indigenous folklore and there's no science behind it, and that it just happened to get its name, Skinwalker Ranch, because of the history of the land. So, not to get super deep into the history of the land, but there was two Native American tribes. One of them was Navajo. The other one, forgive me because I know I'm going to butcher it, Ute, Ute, and they were another tribe, and they were opposing, and apparently there was this big long feud and this like war that broke out, and the Navajo ended up cursing the land. So that is why they call it Skinwalker Ranch, because there's a bunch of supposed skinwalkers walking around. It has all this indigenous history, some of it very violent. Now, the main thing that attracts people to this ranch is the UFO activity. There is said to be a ton of UFO sightings and all kinds of strange UFO or ET-like happenings on the ranch. That is a lot of the stuff that the Shermans were reporting originally when they purchased the land. So, like I said earlier, when the Shermans finally decided in 1996 to share the information with their local reporter on what was happening, people's minds were blown. The things that they were reporting were as follows: cattle mutilation, and not just their cattle getting slaughtered. Their cattle was getting cut so clean and so precisely it was almost surgical. Some intelligent being was mutilating their cattle that were on their ranch for no reason, and the way that they were doing it, it was as if a surgeon was performing these cuts. They were so clean and precise. It wasn't messy. Like if an animal was to attack the cattle, such as a wolf or a coyote, it wouldn't just be clean, perfect, symmetrical cuts. It would be ravaged and mutilated and completely torn through. This wasn't the case. The remains were pristine. Sometimes these cattle and these remains that they found were even drained of blood. So not only were these clean, perfect slices going through the cattle that you would need surgical grade equipment to get that kind of results, but there was no blood. Not in all the cases, but in a lot of them. So you can pretty much rule out animal attack, because that is not what an animal attack would look like. And they would eat the body. These bodies were not eaten. They were just mutilated to be left there and found. They reported crop circles, strange beams and balls of light that they could never find the source for, strange noises, all kinds of strange things that defied the laws of physics. You name it, they were experiencing it. Now, they endured this for many years and finally decided, you know what, this is too much. We don't want to be a part of this anymore. We want to get out of here. So after their story was spread, a Vegas real estate bigwig and UFO enthusiast, he picked up on the story and he was interested, so he wanted to purchase the ranch. This man's name was Robert Bigelow, and he set up surveillance everywhere on this ranch. It was top-notch security cameras, all kinds of different equipment that they used to monitor this ranch, and they had round-the-clock surveillance and security. So Bigelow hired this team of very, very intelligent and highly credible investigators to help him investigate the ranch and try to find out what was going on. All of the people who were investigating this ranch reported seeing very similar things to the Shermans. The crop circles, the cattle mutilation, the strange creatures, weird force fields that they couldn't get around. All kinds of different unexplainable happenings were going on. A lot of the times, these investigators would set up their equipment and things would just get mangled and broken and the wires would get pulled out of them, and they had no idea how or why this was happening. Or they would catch things on video surveillance that they would say, oh my gosh, we finally got it, and then they would go back and it would be gone and it would never be found. So all of these things were happening right before their eyes, but all of the evidence, they said, was getting destroyed. Now, whether or not you believe that is up to you. I wasn't there, you weren't there, who knows? But this is a large group of people who, again, are pretty credible sources from the research that I've done, and they all say the same thing. It happened. Yes, there's no proof of it, but it did happen. So again, this is all just word of mouth. All of these reports are coming in from all of the locals. People who have investigated the land themselves all report similar things. Retired Army intelligence officer John Alexander was one of the reporters, and he said that all of these things that were happening on the ranch were true. He said, and I quote, "A precognitive sentient intelligence is here on this ranch." Now, people who know this man trust him and say that he's a very credible source, and for him to say that is kind of a big deal to a lot of people. So again, I don't know him, you probably don't know him, but he is said to be a very credible and reliable source and witness to the strange happenings on Sherman Ranch. So because of all of the attention that Skinwalker Ranch has gotten in the past few years, the History Channel actually just launched a series called The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, I myself have not watched it. I'm not really into shows like that, surprisingly. I feel like a lot of them are highly over-exaggerated, scripted, and pretty much every episode is them leading you into this big climactic scene and then leaving you on a hanger so that you'll watch the next episode. And then when you watch the next episode, they're like, oh, it was just this car passing by, or, they find a way to debunk it. And it's just this endless cycle of BS. So I chose not to watch it. However, it is said that on this show, these scientists and investigators go in with different types of technology. They use drones and, thermal imaging cameras and lasers, and they use all this really advanced scientific technology to try to capture proof of some type of presence on Skinwalker Ranch. Again, I haven't watched the show, so I don't know how far they've got with it, but that's how big of a deal this place is. I mean, the History Channel picked it up and was like, let's make a show about it. People are interested in it, and that means money. Now, you could look at this from a skeptical aspect and say, oh, it's a big hoax, or it's just animals eating animals, or some crazy guy out there butchering cattle and doing all these things just to do it. And yeah, that could be true. But there are so many personal accounts. I mean, that's a lot of people to be in on a lie. And for what reason? A lot of these people, especially in that area, have more to lose than to gain by sharing these experiences. Matter of fact, a lot of people kept it a secret and didn't say anything. And then once the Shermans started sharing their experiences, other people felt comfortable enough to come forward and say, hey, I experienced this too. This happened to me too. Funny story, actually, the only UFO story that I have that I believe was a UFO or some type of unexplainable flying object, I told my story to one of my boyfriend's friends that I had just met, and he actually had the same exact story. The same exact thing happened to him, except we were across the state. I was up in the Sierra Nevada mountains when it happened, and he was in Tahoe. So when you have multiple people experiencing the same thing, all reporting exact details that are almost word for word the same, it's hard to just say it's a big hoax, and I can relate to that. Now, whether or not you believe in aliens or spacecrafts, maybe there's some type of secret government thing going on that we don't know about. A lot of people have nicknamed Skinwalker Ranch Area 52 after Area 51. Now, what kind of fascinates me about this whole Skinwalker Ranch is, again, the big ball of paranormal energy that is coming from so many different things, allegedly. You have reports of the skinwalkers from the, local tribes. You have all these reports of UFOs. There have been people who have reported things about poltergeist activity and spiritual hauntings. And then you even have reports of people seeing big-like or Sasquatch-like creatures. Now, in my opinion, I think that this is all just a mixture of the local folklore and people trying to figure out what it is that they're seeing. I'm sure they are seeing things that are strange and unusual, and so they're saying, oh, that looks like Bigfoot, or oh, that looks like a skinwalker. Whatever you've been conditioned and taught throughout your life to believe in or not believe in, but the stories that you've heard, your brain is going to register it as that because you want to make sense of what you're seeing. In reality, one person could be seeing what they think is Bigfoot, and another person could be seeing what they think is a UFO, and it's all the way the person is interpreting it. So I don't necessarily believe that there are just Bigfoots and UFOs and skinwalkers all just living in harmony, just shooting the shit together, living it up. I think it's people's interpretation of the activity that they are seeing and the way that they are interpreting it based on how they grew up, their culture, what they believe. If you grow up and your mom tells you to be afraid of the boogeyman, if you see, a 7-foot tall hairy creature, you're going to think, oh, that's a boogeyman. Somebody who grew up in the middle of the mountains and their parents told them to make sure that they're good so that Bigfoot doesn't get them, might see it as Bigfoot, and so on and so forth. So I think that has a lot to do with why there are so many different types of entities or paranormal things reported. But to me, I kind of believe more of the whole UFO, alien, extraterrestrial kind of theories because that has been what's mostly widely reported on. And I, like I said, myself have witnessed one time in my life what I believe was a UFO. So I do believe that they are real. I actually have a tattoo of a little UFO. Let's see if I can show you guys. Let's see how flexible I am. Okay, I need to stretch more. I'm not that flexible anymore. It's a big world out there. It's a big universe. And, I don't see why if we were created, then why couldn't there be other beings created? Or whatever you believe in, whether it's creationism or not. That's just what I personally believe. So I tend to lean more towards the Area 52 UFO side of Skinwalker Ranch. I think that that's more logical for myself. That pretty much sums up Skinwalker Ranch in a nutshell. I could go on and on. There's so many different eyewitness accounts, but I don't have time to make this video hours and hours long, and I'm sure you guys wouldn't want to sit through that and listen to me babble the whole time, so I'm gonna cut it here. But yeah, I really am curious to hear your guys' feedback. Make sure you comment down below on what you believe or don't believe. I promise I will respect your opinion, and I ask that you please respect mine and other people who believe in the supernatural. If you are a skeptic, I would love to hear your side respectfully. And if you do believe that it's skinwalkers or UFOs or whatever it may be, I would love to hear from you and have a little discussion and kind of throw out some different theories. If you guys did enjoy this video, it would mean so much to me if you would like it. It actually helps me out tremendously. If you're not already subscribed to my channel and you do enjoy this content, I would ask that you please subscribe and stick around. Join my little family. We are small, but we are growing. And if you do like all of these different weird types of videos, then you're in the right place. There's more to come. I will have another video for you guys next Wednesday. I'm super excited about that one. Make sure you stay tuned. Turn that little notification bell on so you know as soon as I upload. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching this whole video. If you've made it to the very end, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.